In her seminal 1975 essay, Visual Pleasure and Narrative Cinema, Laura Mulvey theorized that narrative cinema relied on a way of looking she termed the gaze, in which the male audience identifies with a male point of view character and desires the objectified female character. While this formula can be mildly disrupted by films with a female audience or female point of view character, the gaze inherently perpetuates both a gender binary and a heterosexual form of desire. When films attempt to portray same-gender desire, the very act of gazing constitutes the person in possession of the gaze as masculine and the object of the gaze as feminine. And when films attempt to portray gender queerness, the act of gazing ultimately constricts gender nonconforming characters to the way they are perceived by others. According to these shows, a gender other than the one assigned at birth can only exist for a finite amount of time as an intentional performance, before it is overridden by the supposed material truth of one's biological sex. Gay and lesbian cinema has, by necessity, developed different ways of looking. And while same-gender desire is itself a subversion of the gender binary, the question remains how the genders of transgender and gender nonconforming characters can be shown to exist outside of performativity. One of the best modern deconstructions of gender performativity is The Switch, a Canadian sitcom that follows a cohort of transgender characters navigating transness in their day-to-day lives.
But I'm thinking of binding. Changing my name. Pronouns. Taking testosterone. Identifying as anything other than female. But that's it.
The show firmly establishes each character's gender by portraying it consistently across realistic scenes and fantasy and dream sequences. The show then demonstrates that transgender people do perform gender, but in a way that the cisgender people in their lives expect them to, not necessarily in the way with which they feel most comfortable.
I wrote a script.
You see, Doctor, ever since I was 4, I've always known that I was a boy trapped in a girl's body. I've only ever been interested in stereotypical male activities like soccer and drag night and having sex with strange men in public places.
I thought the point was to convince this guy we're normal.
When two of the characters are denied access to medical care based on their failure to perform the way the cisgender doctor expects them to.
And yet, despite this desire to change your gender identity, you don't seem too taken with traditional masculine roles.
I am! I totally am.
It is clear the issue is not that gender nonconforming characters are being dishonest about their experiences. The issue is that cisgender people in power refuse to believe them.